So as you know, Black Panther is making headlines across the world, numbers just charting the charts, reaching a culmination of history for African American films, for Marvel, for you name it, the categories. It is definitely having an impact across the world. And I haven't seen the film yet, but no worries, I will see the film. And for those of you who are asking, well, why is Shavon weighing in on this topic? Well, let's be clear. If you don't even know me that well, then first of all, I am a movie buff, okay? And I'm a Marvel fan. Before there was Black Panther, I've watched all the Marvel films, okay? From the beginning to the end of the credits. I know the storyline. I know what's happening next. I'm a huge fan. And I also have minored in film. So I get the process of producing a project, of directing, of getting a cast together. And I also know the challenges that African Americans have had in getting lead roles, in getting roles that step outside of just being ghetto or being a thug or being a slave or being a mad angry Black woman. We get the challenges of that. And I think for those of us who have worked to some capacity in the industry, there's an appreciation of this film that the average moviegoer may not see or experience. There's some people who are Black are going to watch it because they're Black and because it says Black Panther, when your perspective may be a little distorted because you don't understand the process of what it takes to really get those type of roles. And so I wanted to weigh in on my opinion about some of the negativity that's being said by our own people about this film. And everyone's entitled to their opinions, just as I am in sharing mine with you. But two of the biggest things that concern me about what's being said is one, is that, you know, going to see this film, if you go see Black Panther and it's just only going to the white community, you're still, you know, giving money back to the white people, etc. And, you know, this is not about, you know, Black empowerment, but it's about making money. Okay, that's one perspective. And then the other perspective is comparing the film to other previously produced productions that talk about slavery. For instance, Birth of a Nation. I've seen people say, well, why didn't Birth of a Nation get this type of attention, get this type of accolades in film? So let's address the first one. Now, listen, I get it that there needs to be an increase in supporting Black initiatives, the Black community. And I think that if you're going to question whether or not people are going to the movie to pay to see a film of entertainment, of support, whatever the reason they're going in, then I think you have to also ask yourself if you are giving the same level of criticism about someone going to this film. Give that same level to yourself about whether or not you are truly supporting the Black businesses within your own community, supporting your family member who has an idea for a business who happens to be Black. You need to cross-examine whether or not you're doing the same thing that you expect other people to do just based on a film. It's not just about a film. It's about the entire mentality of whether or not you're supporting African-American businesses, ideas, inventions, you know, events, whatever it may be. Are you applying that same expectation to your own environment versus just a film? So check yourself first. And here's the thing too. We often get mad about situations where we say, well, the dollar's going back to the white people, or the white people produced this, or the white people this and this and that. Remember this, that even in slavery days, there were white people who lost their lives to protect African Americans. Now, this is not me taking away the fact that that there wasn't many white people supporting it, or I'm saying, well, you know, let's take the white people's side. I'm not taking any sides. I like to look at things from a spiritual realm, and also to look at things in a way to say that all Black people ain't ghetto. All Black people are not the depiction of white reality shows. That's not all Black women. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, is that so I believe, let me get to the point. I believe that there are positions in Hollywood and in other places in politics and etc. that are not always corrupt. That there are people who are working, who see the injustices that are going against us, and are doing what they can to position us to have more freedom and more empowerment for our people. So I don't think everyone's trying to get over on African Americans, although in majority of situation it may seem like it is. So that's one point. So I think we need to just move that aside and celebrate the fact that someone had an idea to say, let's bring Black Panther to the forefront. The first African-American hero that hasn't really gotten attention. Let's bring it into a huge motion picture. The millions of dollars that went into it and having an all-black cast. Let's celebrate that. The second point that I see people making that is bringing negativity to this film is comparing it once again to Birth of a Nation and other slavery-oriented films. Now, I really understand the point that you're trying to make in wanting to see people support other films that celebrate African-American history. But here's the thing. African-American history didn't start with slavery. We've only been taught slavery, but there's a life before that that was rich, that was royal, that was of freedom, that was of success, of our own heritage, that wasn't corrupt by all the things the European nations tried to pour into us, that tried to enslave our minds. And I think for many people who are going to see this film, even if they're not a Marvel fan, they're excited because they're tired of seeing a reflection of who they are as just being slaves. The Bible says that so a man thinketh, so is he, right? So there's a lot of brainwashing, yes, that happens in Hollywood. And a lot of times we are always seeing ourselves in demeaning positions, that we have to have a mentality of being a slave, that we have to have a mentality of being the angry Black woman. We have to have the mentality of being a thug. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm absolutely tired of seeing it. And it doesn't mean that for those of us who are tired of seeing it, that we don't respect our history, that we don't respect where we come from. We're so quick to say to other people, well, they forgot where they come from. It's not that I forgot, but I am trying to establish a different mindset, and I'm trying to build a different future. And if I stay congested and consumed in my past, that is the only level that I will think of myself. It's time for African Americans. It's time for Black culture to think of themselves in a different light. And I think it's incredible that we are now seeing ourselves as heroes, as leaders, as kings, as queens, and that everything natural about us is acceptable and beautiful. For so long, we've been told that wearing your natural hair is not professional. When everybody else in the world can get up in the morning and have their natural hair out, but a Black woman, it's an issue. When this film shows these incredibly beautiful women, whether their hair is shaved off or whether it's a fro, that there's an appreciation of who they are, their culture, and we're not demeaning each other. So I don't believe that comparing Birth of a Nation or any other slave movie to Black Panther is fair. I don't think any of the actors in the film are saying, well, Birth of a Nation, I don't think they're looking down on it. I think they're just saying, let's step up. Let's see ourselves in a beautiful, incredible, powerful light, and know that we are strong, and know that we can support each other. Comparing Birth of a Nation and other films, and also, mad at people for paying to go see this film, is that same mentality of crabs in a bucket. The first thing we're ready to do is pinpoint negativity. So the other Black people who are trying to come up, right? We're pulling them down by saying, well, you the white man, you did versus celebrating them and say they got in, they got there. They're establishing a new idea and ideology of who we are as people. Celebrate them for getting there, because all those actors, I guarantee you, they've had a difficult time that you can't even imagine getting to where they are to be on the big screen. So embrace them, celebrate us, be excited, and be careful that we're not tearing each other down just because you see someone else doing something that you're not. And just because it's different from what you are accustomed to. That's the problem. We've got to pull ourselves out of the culture that your European mentalities have forced upon us. We're not always slaves. I don't always want to see myself being depicted as a slave. I don't like seeing African-American women being looked at as just as the reality shows. These reality shows that say Black women are mad and always got to fight and all these things. We don't all operate like that. I don't know, plenty of sisters that are watching this now say the same thing. Like, that's not me. Like, I don't want my daughter to think that that's how all of us act. I don't want the next, Caucasian person to think that's how we act. Just as any other culture, that just because there may be a certain perception that means that that's all of us. And it's absolutely not. So I hope that you all can see the positive light of this. And I'm not saying there aren't areas of improvement. There aren't red flags that we have to be aware of so that it doesn't keep us down. But a lot of times we keep ourselves down because we're not willing to think beyond our forced identity of being slaves. That is not who we are. Embrace a new level of who our people are and celebrate it. You're greater than what they told you. Let God reveal more